Welcome to part 1 of how I made my Captain Fortune twin guns from League of Legends. As always, I started by printing out a blueprint that I drew based on some screenshots. I started on that middle part because it was the easiest shape. First, I measured the height on the template and calculated the circumference. I traced the measurements on foam and cut it out. Afterwards, I checked if it's the right size before cutting it out again. Then I looked for a circular item that was the correct size and traced it 4 times. After I cut those out, I glued everything together. As you can see, one part was a bit too long, so I just cut off the excess. Next, I filled in the gaps with foam clay. Afterwards, I cut out the grip from the template. I traced it onto 5mm foam and cut it out 4 times per gun for the thickness. Next, I traced out the little wings on the side of the grip, cut them out, and glued 2 pieces together to make it thicker. While that was drying, I continued with the little details on the wings, which I made the same way. After that, I drew on these lines so I knew where to sand it down. Then I glued on the little details. Next, I sanded down the individual pieces of the grip so they're all the same size. When I was done with all the pieces, I glued 4 of them together. While that was drying, I sanded the wing down and gave it some detail. Afterwards, I sanded down the foam clay that I put onto the cylinder shape before. Then I started rounding out the grip, which took me around an hour for each of them. Lastly, I glued the wings onto the grips and then the grips onto the cylinders.